morning, everybody. Welcome. Appreciate you joining us here this morning. Coach, appreciate your time. We're visiting here with the head coach of the Liberty Flames, Hugh. Flames are 5-2 after a 31-28 loss at Louisiana Monroe on Saturday night. Flames will be back on the road this weekend to face North Texas down in Denton. Coach, do you want to start off by giving us your thoughts on the ball game from Saturday and any initial thoughts you have on UNT? Then we'll take some questions.
Yeah, obviously extremely disappointed in the outcome of Saturday, and there's no other way to put it. Sickening weekend, felt sick physically, mentally, the whole deal with the way we performed Saturday night. So give a lot of credit to Monroe. We've got to go back and evaluate everything that we do, from our signaling structure to everything. They had a great plan, and give their coaches credit. And their kids outplayed us. They played harder than we did. And, people don't want to hear it. I've said it since I've been here. There's very, very few times that we will take the field where our roster is better athletically than others. And that's just the truth. And that we may be better at certain spots, but we're not good enough to not prepare and play at the level that we have to play to win games. They're hard to win college football games, and that was never more evident than Saturday evening, when we certainly didn't play our best. But, we got another opportunity again. People care about Liberty football right now, and that shows up in a lot of different ways, some good, some bad. But we're somewhat relevant, and we've got a chance to be bowl eligible for our third straight year. And we'll try to make the most of a learning experience from Saturday night and get ready to go play what I think is, I don't know how North Texas is not winning games. They've got a good plan, and they've got really good players, so it'll be an interesting test for us for sure.
Thank you, Coach. We'll open it up here for questions from the media. Use the raise hand option as always. We'll start with Damian from the News in Advance.
You talked about how sickening it was over the weekend. From a culture standpoint, how have the players responded to the message that you gave them this morning, and reviewing the truths of the film of, just how, they got outplayed Saturday?
Yeah, we actually haven't met with the team yet. We had this planned long before, because it was a point in our schedule with the two back-to-back home games. We were going to let them sleep in with us getting back late this morning, and then after academics today, we'll have our team meeting at 5:15, and then our Monday walkthroughs after that. So that was already planned. So I haven't addressed them yet.
Let's go next to Ed Lane from Virginia Talk Radio Network.
Hugh, you'd mentioned that as well in terms of just preparation leading up to a game. How much of the focus this week is having urgency once you meet with the players later today, and carrying the urgency not just on the field, but in studying, communication, film room, all the little details leading up to North Texas, and making that a habit?
It will determine the rest of our season, the way we go about learning and from mistakes or experiences, and how we prepare after that, and how we respond to negativity, how we respond to what the tape says, how we respond to all of that will determine what we do the rest of the season. This sense of if there is a sense of entitlement to, because you've had some good years and winning some good bowl games, and if there's some of that, it will certainly show, and that's not the way you win football games. So we'll continue to preach that.
Let's go next to John from A Sea of Red.
Coach, you mentioned that sense of entitlement, and you talked about it a lot before. Handling success, like you did personally in your own career with your come up through Ole Miss, and then also you talked about it since last season, how Liberty, winning 10 games and getting all that national love and having everybody come back. How difficult is it to keep 115 some odd guys, 18 to 23 years old, focus on the task at hand? You preach it all the time. And how difficult is that when, they're trying to, to bring that same mentality of hard work and focus and preparation each and every week when it's such a grind as you get, 7-8 weeks into the season?
Well, I think you can just look at, kind of the way our season has gone, and I think it's one of the tougher challenges that we face as coaches. But yet, that is the assignment that we have as coaches, and so we have to somehow, if you're going to have the success that you want or sustain success, you certainly have to have the ability to get them to focus on the things that matter and not the things that don't. And it certainly helps when you have some in the locker room that believe the same way. I do think we've got a really good core that will respond the right way to this disappointment. But there's no question when you put the film on, we've got to own what's on it. And there's some things that we haven't done much of. And it's frustrating to watch, and certainly, again, comes back to us as coaches first. And why is it that way? And we've got to figure that out today.
See someone from a number I don't recognize with a hand up. If you could identify yourself and who you're with, and then go ahead and ask your question. Go ahead. Hello?
Mike. Yeah, this is Brett Beater with the Denton Record Chronicle. I'm the guy that covers North Texas. I'm assuming I was behind the number you didn't recognize.
Yep, go ahead.
All right, cool. Coach, just wanted to ask you a little bit about your quarterback, who, of course, is having such a great season as an NFL prospect. What is it that has made him, that has put him on the radar as far as NFL teams go?
Well, I think early on, last season, and he played consistent, and early this season he played consistent, and his athleticism, I think, is very attractive and his arm strength. Having said that, he has not played well the last 2 weeks, and, sometimes I think Malik's, he's so athletic and so talented to be able to make plays when things break down, but, man, it seems that when he short circuits that, his progressions are things. Sometimes great things happen. Sometimes not so great things have happened in the last couple of weeks, and it just so happens that some of those have been in critical moments and put us in a bad position. But I think there's no question. You can't help but see the talent that he has when you watch him play, and so that's where all the accolades or all the NFL talk is coming from. He's a highlight reel waiting to happen most any game, and you can put on most any game that he's played, and you can pull out 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 plays that normal people just don't make.
Yeah, and where does he rank among the NFL type players that you've coached? He's had a ton of them through the years.
Yeah, quarterback-wise, I think he's the most complete. I haven't had a lot of quarterbacks that made it in the NFL, but, I thought Chad and Bo and Ryan all were really, really talented kids, but they all had different strengths, and I think Malik's probably the most he has the combination of running, throwing, arm strength that makes him probably more complete than any I've coached.
Do you expect him to respond this week after, kind of a tough game?
Well, I certainly do. I think it's our job to help him respond correctly, and no one will be more hungry to do that than he will. So we've got to get him back to really doing exactly what the play demands on each given play.
Yeah, one last one for me. You talked about him having that tough time. North Texas has had a really tough time. There were these 5 straight losses. What do you see in them, and do you expect them to come out, ready to play after 5 straight losses like that?
Well, yes, I do. I know Seth, and I know that the coaching staff there, and I watched on film the bit I've watched this morning and last night. They're a scary team. I don't know how, when you watch them move the ball up and down the field on Missouri, and defensively you look at the athleticism that they have. It's I think they're just waiting for a breakout game and to start having more confidence, or whatever it is that is causing them to not lose games. But it's certainly a scary team, and that, like I said earlier, our roster's not going to be any more athletic than theirs are at very, very few positions, same as last week. So we can't afford to – we've got to go play well every week if we're going to win football games, and this one is no different.
All right, thanks, Coach, for the time. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Let's go to John again.
You mentioned after the game Saturday night that the offense was unable to control the line of scrimmage. You got an offensive line that had, basically all 5 starters returning, top couple of guys off the bench too. I know you've been banged up off and on throughout the year. It seems like most of those guys are back in the lineup. Have you and Coach Greg been able to, maybe identify where some of those issues are coming from?
I don't know that we've ever just dominated a line of scrimmage. I don't think that's really who we body blow, and then in the fourth quarter we've had success. That's who we are. I don't know of many offensive lines today outside of the elite ones that can just dominate these defensive line that you play, and you've got to get the dirty 3 yards and 4 yards. And, we were very effective when we went with our tempo in the second half, and, that may be something that's more advantageous for our O-line. But, I thought Monroe had a really good plan, and their kids played it extremely hard. We did. I probably got away from the run a little bit too early in this game, and should have probably stuck with it more. And the thing turned so quick in the third quarter with they had a really good plan coming out of Rich Rod did a great job, stuff we hadn't seen, and he held it until the second half at first drive, and it produced points. And then, of course, we had the quick turnover, and then they get it back, and our defense hadn't had any time to make any adjustments for the first 3 possessions, and then I kind of just maybe got away from. We still outrushed our opponent, which usually you win. We outrushed them over 100 yards, so you usually win those games. But truthfully, when you watch the tape, we left a lot of points out there. We did not execute, and bottom line, we turned the ball over 3 times, once in the tight red zone and once backed up where they got it on the 1-yard line. I mean, on plays that should never happen. And I think that, as poorly as we played, that really kind of sums up. That's no excuse for how poorly we played. That's my fault and our coach's fault for not having them better prepared. But you still got you got to take care of the football, and those 2 should not have happened.
Coach, something I asked Malik the other night, I'll ask you, are teams scheming him any differently on the defensive side? Are they doing anything these last couple of games that they haven't prior to?
No, they may be bringing more pressure. Green dog in the back some, but it's nothing we haven't prepared for. And we've just got to get him back to fundamentally not short-circuiting some of the reads, and he's got to stand in there. But he's so dang athletic and gifted that, you kind of understand, and sometimes that works out. But when he's got to learn when it's time to play another down. But we missed some touchdowns the other night for sure. For whatever reason, we haven't sat down and gone through the tape. We'll do that here this afternoon, and hopefully get it corrected. But I think I'm pretty confident that they knew whether it was run or pass, and so that's something that's that's not Malik's fault. That's our operational fault, and I've got to get that fixed too.
Let's go back to Damien.
Hugh, the defensive line rotation really got shortened up quite a bit with Zachary out, Charles out, Darrell out. I know Darrell posted on Instagram Thursday night it looked like his right knee was heavily bandaged up. Is he out for a while, and do you hope to get Zachary and Charles back anytime soon?
Darrell had surgery on his knee. I don't know how long, but we do expect to get him back at some point. Kendi and Christian they'll be probably day to day this week and see if they can. They both tried to practice last Wednesday or Thursday and just could not go. And I think. Let me tell you, Akil Washington is a football player. He played his tail off, and he played the complete 73 snaps, which is way too many. I think that affected us a little bit in that third quarter. We certainly, but again, Rich Rod had some good stuff too that third quarter. But we had some kids that played too many snaps for sure. Hopefully, we can get a few guys back.
I want to follow up. DeMario, I saw he was dressed on the sideline. Looked like he wanted to go. Were you just trying to rest up the ankle that he said he was trying to get treatment for last week?
Yeah, he didn't. He wasn't able to practice last week. He would have tried to go, and you get up 14-0, and you've rested him that long. You think you're going to be able to hopefully get him healed up. And all of a sudden we're in a dogfight, but he's not loose, and certainly didn't want to set him back anymore. Felt like we could have won the game without him. He was not 100% for sure, and just want to get him there.
Coach, are the penalties specifically on the special teams unit, is that becoming a concern for you?
Well, we had one last week, the blocking out of bounds, that is not on tape. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell my kids. I'm going to show them that today and say, I'm not sure what to tell you. They never touched the guy out of bounds. He ran out of bounds and ran into one of the coaches. But I don't know what to tell them. So I think that was the only special teams penalty. It's the only one I remember. I got to figure out what roughing the passer is too. So.
You changes topics a bit, and you've talked about how kind of like fickle the coaching carousel is in the college football world, and your former boss at Ole Miss, Ed Orgeron, 2 years removed from winning a national championship, leaving. And what are your thoughts on him being booted out of LSU so soon after winning a national championship?
Man, it's sad to say, but nothing surprises me anymore in our profession. It's a absolute incredible calling, but sometimes it's a terrible business. And I don't claim to know any of the details of what's going on in other programs. I've got my hands full here. So I'm not sitting here saying I know everything. I don't know what's going on inside the walls and what the administration sees. So I don't. I'm not at all saying someone's right or someone's wrong. I just know when there's just so many things that should be important in the evaluation of coaches that sometimes aren't because of probably the money that is being paid to us. So we all know that when we sign up for it. But man, we got a chance to make a difference in kids' lives, and that's not going to keep your job anymore. And I get that, and so does Ed. You hate it for so many families that it will disrupt, that are on that staff, and people don't even think about. I mean, you got the on the field coaches for sure, but there's a whole nother building full of people that don't make a lot of money, and yet they have a wife and kids, or a husband and kids if they're a female, and it's just a lot of hurt that goes on in it, and so you just always hate to see it when you're in this profession, and you know that there's a lot of anxiousness and hurt that goes on with those changes, but yet it is part of our business, and we all accept it and understand it, and that doesn't make it enjoyable.
Anything else for Coach Freeze? Damien?
I want to get one more. You talked about the defense not being able to get the adjustments made in the second half with how quick those possessions were for ULM, and then you interception, then 3 and outs. And when you look at the defense performance in the third quarter, is this more of an anomaly compared to where they've been through the first part of the season?
Yeah, again, it's hard to prepare for everything, and Rich Rod had a great plan coming out. It was stuff we had never seen, and you had done so well in the first half that you don't have a lot of adjustments at halftime really when it's 14-0, and you held them to 35 yards after the first possession, and so they came out running those sucker schemes, which we have a good answer, and we fixed it after about the third possession, and then. But unfortunately, we didn't get to make those adjustments fast enough because of the way we didn't take care of the ball.